I want to talk about guilt because, as you know, I've talked about this before in previous content. Guilt is a phenomenon in the INFJ mind that is very pervasive and defines in many ways some life trajectories of INFJs. With one exception, there's one exception, and that's the latest INFJ subtype to be uncovered, namely the spinning INFJ, the fifth subtype, that, as you know, I posit to have not really existed, or at least not nearly as much in the past. Oh, a bird. There's also lots of pigeons in front of me. I think the spinner is a product of our contemporary epoch. The increasing virtualization of society, the predominance of the image, the virtual, and the dematerialization of the world. The spinner, for some reason, doesn't really seem to experience guilt in the same way. Now, we all want to say that the less guilt you experience, the better, right? But it turns out that it kind of depends, right? When someone has to deal with a lot of guilt, you can be sure, like it's a virtual mathematical equation, right? You can be sure that they have a strong superego. Might even say a somewhat sadistic and tyrannical superego, and that's the case of a lot of INFJs. The superego is developed in childhood, and often, if you like, the experience of being misunderstood from an early age onward is threatening to the child, because the child is very dependent, right? And so the child cannot accept the conclusion that it's the responsibility of other people, it's because of other people, that they're not understanding them, you know, like the misunderstanding is other people's. The child reasons in terms of, no, I'm the one who needs to change, because it's a lot less threatening, and it gives them the illusion that they have the power to change. And that's one serious and sort of profound mechanism by which the child develops a strong superego, and that's carried into adulthood. Now, since it's probably fair to say that INFJs are unlikely to have NI-dominant parents, and that NI dominance is probably the most misunderstood function situation, you can sort of figure out a pathway that is more complicated in practice, but the essentials are there, you know. A pathway to how it happens that INFJs have traditionally had strong superegos, and therefore have had to deal with guilt. What's interesting is that spinning INFJs, like other people of other types who also have to contend with this new form of neurosis where the anxiety is still there. In fact, it's potentially more massive. And yet it's not linked with guilt necessarily, which is really new. You know, anxiety was always linked with guilt, because anxiety is a form of acute mental discomfort that you cannot pinpoint the source of. It's not like fear. It's not like stress. So anxiety automatically is assumed to come from inside you, from an unknown location inside you, hence guilt, right? I'm responsible for my own anxiety. That's the mechanism. And yet in spinning INFJs, what you find is anxiety coming from, I have to say, a certain, you know, a certain form of constant grip state. It's like, I've said it before, it's a constant oscillation between the functions of perception, NI and SE. Because the functions of judgment, which are the superego functions, are not developed, okay? Because the superego is weak. So the spinning INFJ spins NI and SE, but it also means that SE is in the driver's seat sometimes. And the constant grip state, I think what it means is that because it is not natural for an INFJ to be in the grip state, to be as if they led with SE, it creates internal conflict that generates the anxiety in that way. The anxiety is kind of like saying, trying to ring the alarm, saying, look, like, you can't continue doing this. You don't have the energy levels for it. SE is not integrated for that. You have to mobilize your functions of judgment. They are here also to support you, not just to torment you. A grounded INFJ has functions of judgment that are there to provide some holding for them. So if you can't really access those functions because your superego didn't really fully form, you're in a situation that is not only anxiety inducing, but it's hard to even work on that, because how do you make your superego stronger? That is the paradox and the plight of the INFJ spinner. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget, I've written 2 books on the INFJ, guys. My latest one is called The Infinite Soul in INFJ Life in a Modern World. The title says it all. The first link below is to that book if you're interested in the book. It's helped a lot of people. So has The Ecstatic Soul, the first book in the Soul series. A new look at the INFJ personality, and that's the deepest investigation of the INFJ mind. The link is also below. And as usual, guys, don't forget that I have a Patreon page where you can support me on a monthly or annual basis. It helps me massively. I could not do it without you, to be completely honest. So please consider supporting me there for a small amount every month. Really cool perks include access to our special Discord server and bonus videos every 2-3 weeks just for you. Hopefully see you there, and talk to you next time, guys. Bye-bye.